Welcome to the Baldwin County Commission regular meeting, the February 20th, 24 regular meeting. I have asked Pastor John Shell to lead us in invocation, if you would make your way to the podium, and then followed by Commissioner McKenzie will lead us in the pledge.
Father, we want to come to you today, not asking for anything, but just thanking you for what you've done for us. We appreciate your love, and we thank you for Jesus. Jesus, you changed everything, and we thank you for everything you've done for us. Father, we thank you for this great nation that you created. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and we have the privilege of living in the greatest nation in history, the United States of America. We thank you for the state of Alabama, and we thank you for creating Baldwin County. And so, Lord, we thank you for this wonderful place that we live, and we ask you to give us wisdom to know how to take care of what you've placed into our hands, that we'll be good, responsible people. And we thank you for this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay. First item on our agenda is the adoption of the February 6, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the February 6, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
All right, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the February 6, 2024 regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The next, Finance Chair, we have payment of the bills.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we payment of the bills.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to pay the bills. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It's always good to be able to pay our bills. The next item on the agenda is just a notification of interim payments approved by the Clerk Treasurer as allowed under Policy 8.1. Before we approve our consent agenda, we had pulled one item. I believe it was CR8 under Personnel. It was asked to be pulled because we wanted to, Commissioner Ball wanted Ms. Hannick to come up and give us an explanation of those employee handbook changes. So, Deidre, if you would come to the podium. And instead of voting on this as a separate item, after this explanation, I believe we're going to add it to the consent agenda. Okay?
Good morning.
Morning.
So did you want to ask specific questions, or would you like for me to explain?
If you don't mind, explain what's. I don't need the whole explanation of every red line you have, but the part about the probationary period employees be able to use sick leave while they're on their probationary period, when that used to not be the case. Just give me a little bit of history, and I know Commissioner McKenzie brought this to your attention at a department head meeting. So I just would like to explain to us and the public of why this might be important.
Yes, absolutely. So this is a brand new addition to our sick leave policy. This isn't something that we have had before previously and was changed. So forever it's been, you go through your 6-month probationary period, you accumulate annual leave and sick leave, you just can't use it during probation. However, it does come up a couple of times a year, and Commissioner McKenzie has brought it up a few times, so we have brought it forth to change it. There are positives to this. Sick leave is a benefit for the employer just as much as it is for the employee. When an employee is on probation and they're personally sick, a lot of times they will come to work sick because they don't want to take leave without pay. And consequently, other people will get sick, and the ball rolls after that. This would help with that, for them to not want to feel like they have to come to work sick just because they're not going to get paid. We do have single parents who, one, get sick, or two, that their children are sick, and will have to take off time, and all of this is leave without pay. Additionally, we feel like those that tend to abuse any kind of leave, you'll be able to view that firsthand while they're on probation before the probationary period ends. That can be helpful to help prevent abuse. When we bring new hires on their first day orientation, we do preach to them how important it is to save sick leave and annual leave for when big events do happen that would require the usage of a lot of time. But we always have those that will get 4 hours and take 4 hours, and we think that will help with that as well.
Okay.
So will this help, Deidre, with also hiring people, you think?
I think so. It's
And
always
retention.
It's always a.
Also, yeah.
It's always a positive.
Okay, well, I think that is a great explanation that there can be a real positive benefit that, you don't want to come to work when you are sick, but also it does expose those who are abusive, and it is during the probationary period. So I also have to trust our directors because I think this is a great benefit for our employees, and thanks for the explanation.
And I got
Absolutely.
one more thing I
Okay.
just wanted to add on that too before we put it back onto consent, that I think it's also good discipline for supervisors in a supervisory role, not to encourage people to come to work sick, but if somebody didn't have this opportunity we're fixing to provide, or maybe have extended their sick leave, that there's opportunities within our organization for this employee to, by supervisor direction, to either work more hours when they're well and can compensate for the time that they missed. But that's going to take supervisors getting together and being able to take the lead on this and keeping up with each individual's time. And if somebody doesn't, somebody could very easily use all their sick time, depending on the illness, and then the supervisor could come in and say, well, I know you had a hard time, you can work over this day, until it amounts to what they lost. So just a message to the supervisors, look out for those guys as well. I think, after really thinking this, I think it's a good thing. We'll see what happens. I like the part where abuse is going to be seen up front, so we might not even hire these people if all they do is stay home sick. So,
Right.
So thank you, Deidre, for the explanation. And with that, Madam Chairman, we could add this back to the consent agenda.
Okay,
Thank you.
and I think this is just another one of those great things that we're doing to help our employees, like, with those who have run out of all their sick pay, we have the bank, and put some very good measures in there. So the whole thing is to help people, not hurt people.
That's right.
All right,
Absolutely.
okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you,
Okay, so we have added CR 8 into the consent agenda, and with that being said,
Make a motion to adopt consent agenda.
okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Okay, I need these. Hold on. Okay. Next, we have our presentations. And we have a proclamation for the American Heart Month. And I believe Commissioner Gruber, you will be presenting that. And we have representatives of the American Heart Association here, and the Mobile chapter of the Lynx will present to accept the proclamation. So if you guys want to come on up to the podium, I know it's the ones wearing red today. You know what? I meant to wear red, and I did not. Got this green dress on sale at Dillard's and couldn't pass up wearing it. So
It's a beautiful dress.
well, thank you. And y'all look great in red. Actually, red is like my favorite color. It is. Yes.
Okay. Proclaiming
Chairman, if I could get you to have our administrator, Roger Rundleman, read the
Yes, I think he
proclamation.
is on cue, ready to go.
Ready to
Right
go.
over there. He is. He's at the starting gate.
Yes, sir. Proclaiming February 2024 as American Heart Month in Baldwin County, Alabama. Whereas more than 350,000 people experience cardiac arrest outside a hospital each year, and only about 1 in 10 survive. And more than 23,000 children under the age of 18 experience cardiac arrest outside of a hospital each year in the United States, and almost 40% of these are sports-related. And whereas about 70% of cardiac arrests that occur outside of the hospital happen at home, and only about 46% of the people who experience cardiac arrest receive CPR from people nearby while waiting for emergency responders to arrive. And whereas there are effective solutions, awareness, and education to have cardiac emergency response plans in place, CPR education, and automatic external defibrillator training and accessibility, and whereas CPR is a life-saving skill which, if performed immediately, can double or triple a person's chance of surviving, and whereas the American Heart Association has set a goal of doubling the survival from cardiac arrest by 2030 by turning bystanders into lifesavers, so that everyone, everywhere is prepared and empowered to become a vital link in the chain of survival and provide CPR in response to a cardiac emergency. And whereas, in celebration of American Heart Month and the American Heart Association's 100th birthday, we urge every household to join the nation of lifesavers and learn CPR. And whereas, in recognition of the importance of the ongoing fight against heart disease and stroke, and in the effort to double the survival rate from cardiac arrest, we urge all residents to show their support for the fight against heart disease by increasing awareness, speaking out about heart disease, and learning CPR, which they can save thousands of lives each year. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Baldwin County Commission in regular session assembled that February 2024 is hereby set aside as American Heart Month in Baldwin County, Alabama.
All right.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the proclamation for American Heart Month for February. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Gruber. We have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Ms. Kennedy, would you please come up and just tell us why this is such a passion of yours? I know you don't want to boast, but it's just getting awareness out there from what you just shared with me earlier.
No, absolutely. I am happy to boast. I'm a 3-time survivor. Very, very pleased and thankful to be here. And I'm here thankfully for the love of God, first, and secondly, the work that the American Heart Association has done has been instrumental in helping me through this. Really quickly, when I was 18, I was a freshman in college. I had a stroke my very first month on campus. I'd never been sick a day in my life. I learned that I had lupus, which caused blood clots, it was a tumor in my heart, which caused it to, it broke off and struck my brain, causing me to have the stroke. I lost my speech and feeling in half my body, all this at 18. Just imagine anyone that you know who's 18, who's never been sick, and something like that happened to them and they're away from home. I had no idea what was going on, and I didn't know my family history. So that's one of the things that I try to make sure people know about. Make sure your children, before they leave the house, know your family history so they know where to start when something happens. Prayerfully, nothing happens, but sometimes it may. So that's one thing. Since then, I've had 2 heart attacks. I've survived both of them, all again by the grace of God. And I'm here because I believe I'm supposed to just continue to share with people the importance of knowing your numbers, know your heart history, and the fact that it's just so important for us to help one another and be observant of the different signs and symptoms of stroke and heart when we see the people around us experiencing them. Time is brain loss, so make sure that as soon as you hear or see anything strange or funny, something sudden that happens, make sure that you respond with calling 911 and let the people who know what to do what they need to do, because if you wait, you may have more devastating consequences. I'd like to see if the American Heart Association might want to share something about their 100th anniversary or anything else.
Sure.
Thank you, Aquilin. We are celebrating our centennial anniversary here in 2024. The American Heart Association is a relentless force for a world of longer and healthier lives. And I have been here working for the American Heart Association in Baldwin County for almost 13 years. And I have seen our impact globally, nationally, but I'm most proud of locally. We have placed CPR in schools kits in every Baldwin County high school. We have advocated for all graduating high school seniors to know CPR before graduation. We've planted teaching gardens that have an entire curriculum around eating healthy, And we have invested far more research into our communities than the funds that we raise within our Baldwin County Heart Walk, our Art for Heart Gala in Orange Beach, and our Mobile County Heart Walk. So it's all due to volunteers like Aquilyn Kennedy, thank you. And I know I have a few volunteers out here in the audience that are loyal supporters as well. So we thank you all for this day, and we hope to see you out at one of our events.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, Aquilyn.
One tiny thing, I'm not here just on behalf of myself. I'm representing the Links Incorporated. The Links Incorporated is a nonprofit, all-women's organization focused primarily on African American health and equity and things of that nature. And so we are partnered with the American Heart Association because all the things that you've heard about disproportionately affect the African American community. So I'm here on behalf of the Links Incorporated, and you will see the organization very, very active here in Baldwin as well.
Thank you so much. All right. All right. Sure, a picture.
How you doing? Go ahead, man. You gotta be my tall. Short shot.
This is my spot.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
So much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
What you do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Well, before y'all run out the door, do the commissioners have anything you'd like to say?
I'd just like to say thank you for what y'all do. Ms. Kennedy, to have two, was it heart attacks or strokes? I can't remember, sorry.
It was 2 heart attacks.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
1
that's,
stroke.
to go through that at a young age, thank God that you're here. And I think God has put you in the right place.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to keep advocating. We need to make sure we have access to health care. I know that that's a polarizing topic, but health is still health, no matter what. And we just want people to be healthy.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you so very much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, which brings us to our public hearing portion of our meeting. And just a reminder that all individuals wishing to speak during public hearings must fill out a speaker form. Comments from individuals should be limited to 3 minutes. Groups are asked to select a spokesperson to speak on behalf of the group with comments limited to 5 minutes if you're speaking on behalf of a group. So we'll go ahead and our first item for public hearing is from our building inspection department, and we'll go ahead and introduce this before we open up the actual public hearing. So we have our building inspector, Mr. Eddie Harper, here to talk about the adoption of the Baldwin County Floodplain Development Ordinance.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
As y'all know, back in the fall, the state put out a new model ordinance that we have to adopt. We have to adopt that by March the 4th. Every so often, they put out this new ordinance, and it has to go through an advertisement process and then a public hearing process for feedback. And with this one, if you see the history of it, they changed the name from Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance to Floodplain Development Ordinance. And then so we thought best that because of all of the amendments in the past, that we repeal the old flood damage prevention ordinance and replace it with this new ordinance. We did put this out for advertisement and opened it up for feedback. We had very little feedback. When we do open the public hearing, I wanted to talk about one little section that we did have some feedback in. And then, but just to make the public aware, there were very, very minor changes in this latest update. Most of it was just maybe explaining things a little better in different terms, and there are some definitions added into it. So with that said, we'll just open it up for a public hearing and then let anybody talk.
Okay, before we open the public hearing, is there any questions for Eddie from the commission? Okay, none? Okay. We'll close the regular meeting and open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone signed up to speak about the floodplain? No. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who did not sign up to speak but you wish to speak on this behalf? Okay. Public hearing is closed on this item. Commissioners?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we...
Real quick, we need to talk about the one little item that I would like to change some language in, just real quick. I gave you a handout before.
This?
Yes, ma'am. And if you'll see, so when this motion is made, if we could just include in the motion that on page 34, under Article 4, Section F, number 5A, it normally read, "No solid or supporting walls shall be allowed." I want to add the language, "unless approved by the floodplain administrator," to that. And if we can include that in the motion, that would be great.
Okay, all right, okay. You'd given us all that beforehand, all right. So this is not what was actually published, so this is added. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
added. That's the
Okay.
only thing changed from the original published, and I ran that through legal, and he's good with it.
Okay, all right.
All right. Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that repeal the Baldwin County Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance and adopt the Baldwin County Floodplain Development Ordinance with the changes that were submitted on page 34, 5A.
Yes, sir.
Which states no solid or supported wall shall be allowed unless approved by the floodplain administrator.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Harper.
Thank you very much for the...
Thanks, Eddie.
And this was a lot of hard work went into this.
A lot of hard work went into this. There's a lot of confusion amongst this throughout the state, and I'm just thankful that we have some staff members who are on top of it and actually able to help some others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, planning and zoning. Case number Z23-46, the Dice property rezoning. So, Corey?
Commissioners, my firm has a conflict on this issue, so I'm going to step out of the meeting. Until
Okay,
this is
see you later.
voted on.
All right, good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, this is the rezone request for the Diaz property. This is case Z2346. It was presented in front of the Planning Commission on January 4th. So the request is to rezone a 19-acre portion of Pen 11760 from RSF2 to RSF4. The subject property is located in Planning District 15. It's also located south of Larry Street Road and east of Rigsby Road in the Bell Forest community. The current use of the property is vacant. The applicant is Dewberry Engineering and the owner is DCF LLC. The applicant's request is to rezone a portion of a property in advance of an application for a subdivision. Staff believes the 11 factors that we look at for a rezone request have been met for this particular application. Here's the locator map and the site map. The adjacent property to the north is unzoned and the land use is vacant and industrial. To the south, we have RSF2, which is residential. To the east, we see RA, rural agricultural, and it's vacant. And to the west, we have both RA and RSFE, residential single-family estate district, and those land uses are vacant and residential respectively. So here's the vicinity map. I've highlighted the subject property in yellow to be able to see it a little bit better. Around it is also, we've called out the subdivisions within the vicinity of the subject property, as well as any of the major roads. Here is the vicinity map again with zoning overlaid, and as you can see, we have a lot of RSF2 in the area. This area has become more of a suburban rather than agricultural area, which was, at the time of it being zoned, it was more agricultural. And here is that same zoning map highlighting the city limits. We have the city of Daphne, and then over to the northeast, we see the city of Loxley. So staff's recommendation for this rezone request is approval. The Planning Commission recommended denial with a vote of 11-1 during the January meeting. One citizen did speak in opposition during that meeting. As a reminder, the lot sizes for RSF2 is 15,000 square feet. The minimum lot size for RSF4 is 7,500 square feet. The future land use map does show that high-density development activity can be within this rezoned portion. This can include up to high-density residential. However, this request is for a mid-density development. And the flume does support RSF4 zoning for this particular area of the subject property. All right, now I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have or go to any slides.
Okay, we've heard the presentation by staff on this case. Is there any questions for staff before we open the public hearing?
I don't have any.
I guess the question that I have, and I watched the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, you have 11-1, and I guess my question is to you is, because they didn't really explain a lot, except one of the commissioners on there, why something to the effect of there's no other surrounding areas with RSF2. I guess my question is why. I'm just trying to figure out something before.
So are you asking?
Yeah, because
the higher density.
There was 11-1.
Right, because they focused on the areas that were zoned. If we take kind of a bigger step back and we look at the areas within the city limits,
right,
they have a higher density in terms of their development. And
yes,
so if we would take a step back and look at that, we would see that it would be in line within what the city limits of Daphne would have.
All right. I really didn't have a good question, but I appreciate your answering that, so thank you.
So we had a better answer than a question. I'm sorry.
Planning and zoning is just
it's hard. Planning and zoning is hard. It's difficult. Okay, with that being said, is there any more questions for staff before we open the public hearing? Nope. All right. We will close the regular meeting and open the public hearing on this case, Z23-46 property. Do we have folks signed up to speak?
Yes, ma'am. First, I have Dr. Eugen Elmich.
Okay. I believe we received an email from you. So if you will come to the podium and we have a timer, we will have 3 minutes to speak. Okay? All right?
Got it. Yeah. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for listening to me. I'm here to talk to you about that matter because I'm really, honestly, truly thinking that we should not intensify the population here in that area around the Rixby Road because it's already growing so much. I'm living in this area since 2010, and let me quickly apologize for my English. I'm German. I'm still learning the English. But I have some experience, 15 years now here living in this area, and it has changed dramatically in my eyes. The traffic went up, everything went up. Recently, a new school has been built, and this school is already overcrowded now. It's working with satellite buildings, and the students have to cross buildings and streets to get to their studies. It's not even safe in my eyes. And more people, more population in the same area, which we will have anyway, I do understand that, but even densify this, I think we are not ready for it. My big concern is the existing infrastructure. This is not ready for it. I think the streets and roads are not supporting it. The intersections are not supporting it in terms of traffic lights and street lamps to cover for that density and for that traffic. And also other things like safety are not really in favor of it. Look at Rixby Road. It's a country road or county road, or what you call it. It has no side place or walkways or whatsoever. So many people are already walking there and running there and running with bicycles. It's dangerous. And recently accidents happened too already in that area, especially at this intersections 64 Rixby Road and 181 Rixby Road. I'm just asking you to do more infrastructure first and maybe more analysis first, whether the area is ready for that request. And I think we are not ready for that. It should be denied.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others signed up to speak?
I have Brian Ruff.
Hi.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Just to reiterate Jurgen's points, I live in the community of Beauchesne, which is also where Jurgen lives, and my family...
What was your name again?
Brian Ruff.
Okay, sorry.
My family, I have three kids that live at home, one in college. They frequently go out running multiple times a week, 3 to 6 miles a day. They're involved in track, cross-country, soccer. And they run up and down Rixby. And right now there's no sidewalks. They run along grass. Cars have often veered off the side because they're racing down to avoid 64 and 181. It's just a problem. The traffic is a real issue. So we're against the rezoning for more density. It's just going to exacerbate the problem. And we feel there's a need for traffic lights and just getting to the Bell Forest Elementary School, which one of our children go to, is a challenge every morning and during pickup times. So that's all I have to add. Just don't feel the infrastructure is there to accommodate this zoning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have Kathy Barnett.
Kathy, do you wish to speak?
Yes, ma'am, if I'm the last one, because I'd like to address all the citizen concerns.
Is that the last one signed up to speak?
That's the last one.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to be brief. I don't have any problem with you timing me as well. I've got just a few slides that I want to highlight. And Commissioner McKenzie, I can answer your question, I think, or attempt to, at the Planning Commission. Your question was, what happened at the Planning Commission? Why did they vote no? And to me, I believe that the majority of it was a lack of understanding of utilizing the new comprehensive plan and the flume. And so I don't know how this is going to work. I'm not going to go through all of these, but we didn't discuss enough about the future land use map, and so where Ms. Rose talked about looking at the overall density and why staff recommended it, we moved forward with sitting with them, talking with them. Currently, this property, we could actually use the RMF 6, which is the high density, the red here on your map. I included what is allowed in the comprehensive plan or how you are looking at that. We actually went with the moderate density potential to kind of balance what we're seeing as the growth in the area. Not as intense, a little bit less, more compatible with the neighborhood. So we were very deliberate in our request, but when all of this went through with the future land use map as being a tool, we're using that tool. So I don't think that the commission at that meeting, the Planning Commission heard enough of that. And then I just want to highlight just a couple of the points coming from the citizens because, again, we've tried to be responsive to what those concerns were. Traffic study, ALDOT's been reviewing this area, the county has been reviewing this area, and then, of course, as we move forward with construction plans, we have to do the traffic study as well, should it move forward. They all warrant improvements, what the county dictates and what the developer has to do for a cost share and an aid to construction is understood. That will be what comes out of it. It'll solve some of the traffic problems with everyone working together, not add to them. Growth is happening. That's why the future land use map shows the RMF6 and a high density. Traffic's been hit. Drainage was also a concern. Obviously, again, the drainage, we're going to look at ditching. None of the drainage that Beauchene has is part of this watershed when we're now analyzing the engineering. So that's just been preliminary, but so we won't have any issues with that. There were concerns about water pressure. We've received those letters of service availability from Bell Forest Water, so they're ready, and we'll have to meet all of their criteria and development potential. And so the concern always, again, is when there's an intensive use, people are concerned that property values are going to go down. We've seen the reverse. Baldwin County continues to grow. There are small lots, there are big lots, and property values continue to increase to almost an unattainable amount. So we'd like you to highlight and look at the future land use map, understand kind of how we got to this origin, and request approval. Thank you.
Do you mind coming back up since you
Yes,
brought my name in?
Oh, I wasn't trying to throw you in the wolves.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was trying to answer your question.
No, and I appreciate that. And I guess what I was getting at my question, it was not that they didn't have enough information. I'm assuming that they really, 11-1 is very strong. It wasn't split. It wasn't in favor of it. It was strong, and I think the reason they were strong is because of the RSF 4 from as a 2, and there's no other surrounding. So that's, I guess, I just wondered why can't you decide to leave it at RSF 2 and do the same thing instead of going to a 4?
Because we want a little bit more intense use on that southwest corner. Yeah, and just to add, we didn't talk a lot, though, about the future land use map in that meeting, and it seemed like everything was coming through. There wasn't a lot of comments, like we said, one citizen, and so there wasn't a need to impress upon the level of extent research, the density calculations. It kind of came out of, to me, a little surprising because there was no discussion about it. It was the one comment from the planning commissioner, and then it was all of a sudden, okay, we're gonna, because it's just one jump on the graph. So it was a surprise to me too, 11-1.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else that signed up? Okay. Is there anyone that did not sign up who wishes to speak? And I just want to clarify that I started the timer at the right point in time, and the actual digital timer was a little bit behind. So when the time ran out, Commissioner McKenzie had asked a question, so I just didn't want anybody to think I'm trying to just, do something. I don't know what you might think, because I can't read your minds. But anyways, we have someone that has stood up that says you would like to speak. So if you will come up and speak your name, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Kathy Starkey.
Yes, we received an email from you.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I live in Beauchene Estates, and I spoke at the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. And all of the points that we had, there were 4. One was about the safety and the traffic studies and the plans for future improvements there, their plans. The second thing was education and concern about the school not being large enough now and what an increase in population density would mean to the school system. Third was the water pressure. All of these things have been listed already. Our water pressure is very irregular and low generally. With an increase in population density, we are concerned that will be worse. And fourth was property values. So all of those have been covered already. I think one of the primary concerns I have at this point is why we don't have a more comprehensive plan for their development of this particular parcel. The developer should really go ahead and submit that now so you know what you're voting on, and we as citizens know what we're going to be living next to. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else for the public hearing portion? The commissioners will have an opportunity to ask questions after the public hearing is closed. Nope. Okay. Public hearing is closed.
I got a question for staff. The RSF, the present RSF 2 and the Daphne's RSF 2, they're different, are they not?
I have not
think the
looked.
RSF 4 more fits is with what Daphne has. It fits that scale more so than the the F2.
They're not equal.
They're not equal.
They're not equal.
Yeah.
No, just because it says a 2 and a 4, it doesn't necessarily mean that they equate to the same square footage of lots and minimum lot size. I lost my train of thought. I had something I was going to ask.
I don't want to interrupt you.
It's okay.
Well, Ms. Rhodes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
To the property to the south, the subdivision, where that triangle is, what is that? Is that RSF 2?
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to make a comment before I make a motion.
I remember what I thought. You want to go ahead, and then
Yes,
I'm not
I
going
want
to
to make
forget
my
it this time.
comment. Yep. Just remember it. I want to make my comment. We're voting on a rezoning request.
Correct.
We're not voting on a subdivision.
That is correct.
That's where our planning commission loses hindsight. They think way too far in advance of the speculative of what could happen. This still has to go through a horrendous process to even build the first home there. But this is just for rezoning. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, that's what I was going to enlighten on.
We're
is
not
that
taking
we are
up a
not approving a
subdivision case here.
subdivision application. This is a rezoning application. There is an extensive amount of check the boxes that have to happen in a subdivision. And one thing that was brought up was mentioned about sidewalks. That is a requirement, is it not, in the subdivisions? Buford saying,
Okay. If
Okay,
Christmas
I just
then
know that
yes.
sidewalks have always been a real pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
But we can't go back and put sidewalks in places where they weren't required in the past
correct.
unless somebody wants to cough up millions and millions and millions of dollars. I can't believe how much sidewalks cost. But when they're fitted at the time frame that it was happening. So I think there's a lot of concerns that will be addressed when this subdivision comes to place. So that was just the one thing that I wanted to make sure is that there's an unzoned portion that is very much adjacent to this piece of property, and the comprehensive plan does not address the unzoned portions because they're not zoned. And so this is just a very fast-growing area for those of you who just moved here in the last decade or two. I'm a fifth-generation Baldwin County, and it is amazing to see what we're having to look at. So something that we may not always like to see happening, it comes with people's property rights and the right to do things that they need to do. And this actually fits the compatibility portion of the thing. It is very rare that we get a rezoning request and every one of the checks are green. So that's all. With all that being said, we have in front of us to approve or deny a rezoning request for Z23-46.
Did you close the public hearing?
I did.
Okay. Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation and approve this rezoning request.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve this rezoning request. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. If it is, like Commissioner Ball did say, it is for rezoning, but we know what's fixing to happen next. Everywhere around that area is RSF2. I just feel like that's just my opinion, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Well, across the street is unzoned.
Well, unzoned.
Which could be anything.
Sure.
Okay, that being said, any more discussion? Any more questions? If not, We have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we have 3-1. The motion to approve the rezoning passes. All right. Next, we have under other staff recommendations, administration, we have item FA1, which is a resolution in support of the Alabama Constitutional Amendment 1, which will be on the March 5th, 2024 primary election ballot.
Madam Chairman, can you let...
What?
There's a way to just let everybody get out so we can hear.
All right, we have this item here that was asked for us to pass.
I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2024-76.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Unanimous, the ayes have it. Okay, next is Archives and History, and I believe we're going to postpone the update by the Bicentennial Park Advisory Committee to a meeting in March because Mr. Bunn was unable to stay for this portion of the meeting, but we'll see him in the regular meeting in March. Okay? All right. And then item FC2. Ms. Felicia.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I just wanted to give you an update on the Native American artifacts that was found at Live Oak Landing back in October of last year. November 7th, you all approved us to work with the Porch Band of Creek Indians, the Tribal Historic Preservation Officers, on that project. On January 29th through the 31st, they were out at the site. They did lay sod on that, capped it, everything is done, and just want to let you know that. They also sent, and you should have pictures of that work in your packets. Also, there was a letter sent to me after a conversation with Mr. Bailey at the site. He did have some recommendations on how to make sure that the property is preserved for future use, and that was to terminate a certain part of the area near the site, and also to remove those disc golf courts from that area.
Okay, so is this
This is just a discussion.
just a discussion item?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the update, and I'm glad that they were able to identify and preserve that area.
Yes, ma'am. Great group of people to work with.
Thank you, Ms. Felicia.
so much.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Appreciate it. All right. This brings us down to public comments. There's no addenda on here, so correct? Y'all didn't slip nothing in on me since work session?
We didn't slide anything in.
Okay, never know. Next, we have public comments. Do we have anyone from the audience that signed up to speak in the public comment section? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who did not sign up to speak that wishes to speak? Nope. Okay. Press questions. Anyone from the press here? I don't see them. They ain't lurking around the poles or anything, are they? Okay. Commissioner comments. We'll start with, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I'd just like to say congratulations to all the sheriff's deputies and all their staff for Fridays for the awards that they've received. They've well deserved. And I want to thank Sheriff Halsmack for inviting us. That was an honor to be there with them. To the commission, I want to say thank y'all for that CR8, for the leave. That didn't come directly from me. That came from some employees that reached out to me and I've seen that in the past. So thank y'all for allowing that to happen. Thank you for the staff for helping us with this. This is a lot, so thank you again.
Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
All right.
I want to thank the staff for all the hard work that they do to get this agenda going so that we can hold this meeting. And American Heart Association, they've asked to proclaim February as the Heart Month, and which we did. So, remember that, they talked about, learning CPR, which is a life-saving method that we all need to know. We never know what's going to happen to our fellow citizens, that they may need our help, so we need to be ready to provide that help to them. And just want to thank all of the other employees and our deputies and all the folks that's work in Baldwin County for the job well done of keeping Baldwin County going like it is. We're still growing real fast, and we got some stuff coming up that y'all need to pay attention to in the legislation. So please look at that. Is wanting to change the formation of the Baldwin County Commission, change it from what we presently have to 5, and have a full-time chairman that makes the same salary as a circuit judge does. And that person will have full authority over the rest of the commissioners. He will be the main person that does all the appointing and everything else. So, look what's out there and talk to some of the people, our staff, that tell you what's really going on with this bill. They want to have it so that it's run by district. It won't be elected county-wide. And the districting is going to be very interesting because of the population. If you look at Baldwin County, trying to make 5 districts in Baldwin County is going to be very, very cumbersome. And it's going to divide the county into 5 different sections. And, the north part of the county is not as populated as the southern end, and that person that serves the north end will have to have the same population as the person in the south end. So that means that district is going to grow dramatically. So, like I say, just be aware of what's going on and ask questions on, what's going on. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to say that is an advertised bill. It has not become a bill as of yet. And just want to reiterate that it is not something that this commission has asked for. This is something that is the desire of a legislator. The county commission functions very well. We have an outstanding staff. We have not missed a hiccup of anything. I am definitely not one for growing government and adding another elected official into the pot, but this is something that is being entertained, and I would hope that people can get beyond some of the things that are said that are not true about this commission. We have fantastic commissioners and employees that work for this county. This county is a flagship benchmark for the rest of the state. People look up to Baldwin County for, I'm looking at Miss Felicia out there right now. We got the best county archives department in this state. I would put our highway department up, even those crazy things we have to deal with planning and zoning, and even our lawyer's a good one over there. He's smiling. And I'm looking at some of the best engineers, our CIS, these guys, people always say, why fix something if it's not broken? We fixed some broken stuff last year. We, as a unified commission, went in and redrew an organizational chart without the help of any legislative changes. And I really feel like that our legislators get trapped into having to agree to some things to, pass this bill or do that bill. I'm just asking for them to do the right thing this time and trust not your own understanding, as the Bible says. But I didn't really want to talk about that, but I just wanted to reiterate some things that Commissioner Gruber said, because it is taking up so much of our time to have to play defense during legislative session. And I don't know if that was intended to be that way, but it is not productive as far as trying to get everything else. It exhausts you having to constantly stay on guard. There's a lot of other bills out there that are happening. Some are good, some are not good. There's one out there about county roads. Matter of fact, I think that they're going to be meeting at 1 o'clock today in the committee about putting off-road vehicles on our county roads, which is extremely dangerous. These things go really, really fast. Some of these, I don't own one, but these side-by-side type things, they fly. And the last thing that we need is for our people to be getting in accidents and getting hurt and damaged for the rest of their lives. So reach out to your lawmakers, those who might be on any kind of agricultural committee or whatever. This is huge, guys. These things happen, and what's going on up in Montgomery is just as important as what happens nationwide. People keep themselves glued to these Fox News and CNN and all this kind of stuff. This is important. What happens up in Montgomery, and we are not a legislative body here. We don't have any type of lawmaking authority. Things are put on us, and I think we do a really good job with what's put on us. And so I just wanted to say that this is not something that's being asked for, and I do think that it would. I think it's an insult, to be honest with you. And I don't want to, I mentioned our staff already. There's a lot contained in this agenda that went on right here. A lot of work goes down, and even though we may try to condense it and get things happen to keep things moving, thank you guys. It does not go unnoticed, and I appreciate it. Jeff?
Thank everyone. I have no comments.
All right. Okay. That being said, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right. See you guys next time.